What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22. Last time we were at the Hungarian Grand Prix and we had a pretty decent race, all things considered. We got a bit of problem in qualifying and we got held up, which meant we ended up being eliminated in Q2. But we managed to recover into the points. I think we finished 7th in the end, so it was a pretty decent race from our side. We've got to decide here whether we want a reduction in cost of an upgrade or to boost our driver stats, and we ended up going with the reduction in cost. I'm all about developing the car right now. Developing the driver can come later when we've got an OP car. I was thinking about it actually today when I was recording another video, and I was thinking about how I don't know, I'd quite like to keep a rookie driver in the car. I don't know who it will be yet, but keep someone who isn't actually in F1 in the car with the hopes of like boosting them to the point that they can be a championship contender. We're looking at different sponsors at the moment. I'm trying to see who I think is going to be a reasonable one to sign. I mentioned this before that I was looking at potentially overhauling our sponsors to see if we can get a bit more money here and there. And yeah, in the end, I think I do settle on a new one. I can't remember what the demands of the one I replaced are, but this is the one we're going to end up going with. Shark. They give you 210k if you score more points than the team above you in the vehicle performance comparison. Obviously, we can only do that until we are the best team in Formula 1, but I can envision that still probably won't be for quite some time. You know, we're still kicking around at the bottom of the field, but we're slowly kind of closing the pack up. Everyone's between the 700s and 800s now. Red Bull are the best team in Formula 1 at the moment, maybe, or maybe it's McLaren. They're all quite close at the top. Mercedes and Ferrari there as well. Really, it's all just based on sort of driver skill at this point. You know, anyone can get anywhere, as evidenced by some of the people who make it through into Q3, even in poor cars. You know, myself. Gasly has made it from time to time, Albon's made it from time to time, and they definitely don't have the best cars on the grid. So yeah, there definitely is there's no midfield really, I would say. You know, anyone can do anything on their day. You know, there's the usual suspects at the back of the grid, the likes of Piastri, Latifi, sometimes the Alfa Romeos, but even the Alfa Romeos do well from time to time. Schumacher's quite often not particularly high up there, but yeah. We have an achievement that we got. I'm not sure what that's for, but yeah, that was exciting to see. One step closer to the platinum trophy. I don't even know what else I have to do to get that. I haven't really been paying attention to it. I should probably start though, because on last year's game I wanted to get it, and I left it really late to do the online racing achievements, and there was one that was like do 100 races and do 10 clean races, and I ended up doing like 20 races a day. It was pretty brutal, so I'd like to avoid that this year if I can do that. Now we're into the race weekend proper, and we have an engine upgrade by the looks of things, which is nice. We'll have a bit more pace in the car. We've lost the rivalry. It's still showing up at the moment, but as soon as we get that decrease in acclaim, that'll be done. Ferrari have actually jumped up to being the top team on the grid. But what's most surprising is that Alfa Romeo are 5th and very close behind the Mercedes. If they can improve their driver lineup, they could be a real force to be reckoned with. But unfortunately, I don't think Joe and Schwartzman are going to be winning them any championships anytime soon. But it's cool to see them up there nonetheless, and maybe we can get up there at some point and sort of get in the mix as one of the best cars on the grid. Because I want to be fighting with 2 cars. It's always all well and good when I'm competing in most races, although in this practice session I wasn't really particularly competitive. But I would quite like to see, you know, Piastri or whoever my teammate is in the future be sort of competing with me and the cars in the top 10 or so. You know, that would be the ideal scenario, and then we can make a play for the Constructors' Championship. Can't win a Constructors' Championship with one car alone. Even if you win every race, it probably won't happen. And if you don't believe me, I think I did have a season like that in F1 2010. where I was probably on too low a difficulty when I was a kid, and I won every race, and my teammate didn't score any points because I think it was Heikki Kovalainen or someone, or Trilly, I can't remember. And yeah, I think Red Bull won the constructors in that scenario. And then Lotus didn't want me to re-sign for them, which I never really understood. But anyway, that's neither here nor there for now. It's time to get into qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. Practice session didn't go particularly well, but hopefully we can kind of make our way back into the Grand Prix weekend during qualifying. Unfortunately, in our first flying lap of Q1, there was a particular goat-shaped object that was blocking me slightly, so I ended up losing a bit of time through the bus stop chicane in the last sort of sector. But it was still a pretty decent lap, you know, 1:44.9. We'll see what that's good enough for as we continue on. Would that have got me out? It might have actually done, because we're in P13 at the end of Q1. But we went for another lap regardless, and we made some big improvements, over a second worth of improvements on this occasion. And we'll see what's it good enough for. 1:43.7, and it takes us P1. Okay, so maybe we can compete. Maybe we can fight. Now we can fight. 2 tenths faster than Norris. It's not guaranteed, but it definitely is looking like we could potentially be on for maybe our second pole of the season if we continue with this upwards trajectory that we've had. I wasn't expecting that after what happened in practice, but that's what I always say about practice, is that it can be deceiving in the pace that you display there versus what you will have in qualifying, and that can even deceive you for the race. You know, even if I get pole, look at Britain for example, where I got pole and then I fell off the podium entirely. 1:44.4 for my first lap. Hopefully I can improve that a little bit as we come into the second lap of Q2. We were P9. It might have been good enough to get us out, but I would like to improve nonetheless to guarantee that much. We're about 7 tenths faster as we come up to the line. It's going to be good enough for a 1:43.6 this time, and that takes us into P2. So not pole on this occasion, but not far off, and hopefully we can improve slightly again in Q3 and maybe take our second pole position of the season. Shock result: Hamilton and Alonso are out in Q2, and Magnussen and Gasly are through. So yeah, that is quite surprising to see Hamilton making an early exit from qualifying, but that's not the first time he's done that this season, I'm pretty sure, and we'll have to wait and see if it will be the last. But for a team that is competing at the top pretty much every race, you would expect Hamilton to be doing a little bit better than he's doing. I think he's letting the team down. You know, he got his act together just long enough for him to beat me in the rivalry, but then he's drastically fallen off again in this race, it seems. Anyway, 1:44.4 again for our first flying lap. It's on a used set, so obviously I would want to improve again as we go into our second flying lap of Q3, and now we're going to see, can we get pole in the Belgian Grand Prix? On the evidence of what we're seeing so far, it's not looking very good. We were a bit slow as we came out of the final corner, and that compromised our run the whole way down to the first corner. But as we go through Eau Rouge and then up Radion, we're about a tenth ahead of where we were before. We need to make massive improvements over this. We're currently P10. Engineer warning us some rain, but that shouldn't make too much of a difference. And now we just need to make all the improvements we can. We're 4 tenths faster now as we come through. Oh no, more like 3 tenths actually, as we come through these sections down into the names of corners that I don't remember. And we'll see if we can improve as we come through here. I really did think this was possible, but I feel like it's just falling away from us at this point. We're not making anywhere near the level of improvement I was expecting we would, especially considering our last run was on used compound tyres. But we have made a massive gain through, I believe that corner's called Pouon, and now we're up to like sort of 7 tenths ahead. But then I go a bit wide in this corner. We're on fresh tyres, and I'm just, running wide here and there or going a bit deep. It's just not conducive to a pole lap, unfortunately. And yeah, I don't know if it will be good enough. I don't know what the provisional pole time currently is. I know we're 8.5 tenths up, so it's looking good, but we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. We've literally just got the bus stop chicane to go. Now, if I can navigate this corner or this section of corners quickly, maybe we could still be on for it. We make some more improvements. We're about 9.5 tenths ahead of our previous lap. Across the line, and is it good enough for pole? No, it's P2. Very close, but yeah, I mean, you could see, I just made a couple too many mistakes on that lap for it to be a pole lap, unfortunately.
Remind ourselves once again of our top three: Leclerc, Robinson, and Sergio Perez. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
It is at least a bit comforting to know that Leclerc was 3 tenths ahead, so I probably wouldn't have got it even if I did crank out a much faster lap than that. I don't think I had 3 more tenths in me, but you never know. After losing a claim level 14, we've jumped back up to a claim level 14, so yep, that's nice, and we'll see if we can maybe jump Leclerc off the line and get into the lead of the race come race day. But yeah, I mean, that Ferrari is the best car on the grid, and supposedly we still have the worst one. I think that's rubbish, honestly, and I've been saying it for most of this season at this point. I really think our car is a lot more competitive than what it seems. I think there's just so little between all the cars now that because the drivers that I'm having on my team aren't necessarily particularly high rated, and also the personnel facilities we've got aren't brilliant, it's making them look worse. But I really don't think that they're anywhere, like the car is anywhere near as bad as it seems. I thought about rushing this upgrade to get it on for the Italian Grand Prix, especially because it's drag reduction. But in the end I decide better of it, and we'll have that on in time for Singapore if all goes well. No rivalry for this race, but I'm sure they'll ask us in due time. And now it's time to get into the race.
Belgium once again for today's round of the Formula One World Championship. It's a race that the great Ayrton Senna won 6 times, and in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to take their maiden win here since Michael Schumacher back in 1992. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track's a great one for fans of pure speed, and the average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles per hour. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Robinson completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Ricciardo, George Russell and Verstappen, Norris, Gasly, Magnussen and Carlos Sainz, Schwartzman, Ocon, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher, Stroll, Sebastian Vettel, and Yuki Tsunoda, Joe, Oscar Piastri, Latifi, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching out for as they head into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
I would say that there is a pretty good chance of us scoring points in this race. What I'm interested in is, are we able to get another podium? It would be our 3rd podium of the season if we were able to do it. After Miami and Baku, this would be podium number 3, and we'll see if we can go one better than we've gone so far. We had 2nd in Miami and 3rd in Baku. There's only one step we haven't stood on. Could today be the day? Let's find out. We're going to line up on the grid, and yeah, we'll see if we can get a good parking to ensure that we can jump Leclerc. It's apparently incredible. I think it's pretty bang average personally, but we'll see what happens. We'll take a nice wide line through the first corner to ensure that no one goes for a dodgy dive bomb and hits us at the inside. And yeah, here we go. The lights come on. And the lights go out. It's pretty quick launch. We're already faster than Leclerc, but he's moving to cover us off. And then through the second phase, he's a bit faster than us. We have to slow down to avoid hitting him. We're going to try and go the long way around. We go over the sausage curb there. That's going to cause us a bit of damage. And as a result, we get jumped not only by Perez, but also by Ricciardo, Russell, and Verstappen. And we're down to P6. So that was an awful start. Probably my worst start in any Formula 1 race I've done, especially in this game, but in many games. And we have a VSC. Not sure what that's for. Assumedly there was some level of contact in Radeon, but no one's out of the race at the moment, so I guess we'll have to wait and see if anyone does retire. But for the time being, it's just a VSC, so we're just gonna have to follow behind these cars in front of us and see what happens. But yeah, that was an atrocious start by my standards. You've seen I have the tendency to make up a place or two at the start of a race, but I definitely shouldn't be losing 4 places off the start. That was pretty horrible. I try and pull a Verstappen on Verstappen, but he just cuts me off, and that's going to compromise my run through Pouhon, and that's going to allow Norris to potentially have a look up my inside as we go through these next complex of corners. I don't have the grip right now. Maybe I don't have the tyre temperature or something like that, but he just sails on past me, and there's absolutely nothing I can do. I can't go wheel to wheel right now. It's just not possible. I think we're going to be under pressure from Gasly in a second as well, so we're in real danger in this race if we don't get our act together, get our arse in gear right now. We can't afford to lose any more positions. Here comes Pierre Gasly. I'm going to try and fight him. Finally, I think we got a bit of temperature in the tyres. I go wide and off the track. I don't get an extended track limits warning though. And we dive up the inside at the bus stop chicane, and we hold on to P7 for now. So that was almost bad. I mean, it was almost terrible, but it was still bad. And now we just need to see if we can recoup our losses as we progress throughout this race. I don't think we have the pace to fight with any of the guys ahead of us one-on-one is the problem. We're going to need to hope that one of them holds up the other by going for some sort of moves on one another or something like that. But as we come up Radeon again, you'll see Pierre Gasly is very close behind us, and we need to burn some battery here if we want to hold him off. But for some reason, I'm not burning any of my battery until really late, and that enables him to get past us. We're going to see if we can attack him back around the outside as we come to the end of the Camel Straight, but he's going to have the run on us, and yeah, he moves up into P7 and we're down to P8. We've lost 6 places off of this start. It's horrible, horrible first couple of laps. We need to recover this, and quickly, if we don't want to become a laughing stock and fall out of the points. You know, we've got Ocon and Sainz behind us right now as we move into lap 4. That's another thing. Sainz and Hamilton starting outside the top 10. There's other people who are looking to get back at us, and we could very easily be falling out of the points if we're not really economical about this. We go for a look up the inside of the bus stop chicane on Gasly, who locks up, and that's going to enable us to have a little bit more of a go than we probably would have done if he hadn't done that. We've got the battery, we've got the DRS, and yeah, we're out dragging him as we come down to the first corner on lap 5. He is going to fight this back though as he goes around the outside. I'm losing my words, that's how intense this fight is. But yeah, with the battery as we come down the run to Eau Rouge and Radeon, I think we're just going to manage to stay ahead for now. But he will have the DRS here, so we're going to have to burn battery pretty much the whole way if we want to keep him behind. Ocon is pretty close as well, and he's going to have the DRS as well. We could be looking at losing 2 positions here if we're not careful. We're going to need to hold on to this for everything we're worth. And yeah, neither of them are brave enough to have a look up the inside at the end of the Camel Straight. So I think we're going to get away with that, and we move back up into P7. Only 5 more positions to go to get back to where we started in this race. Ideally, maybe now I just want to hold on to this position. Like I said, I don't think I can really fight with the cars in front of me, and on this evidence it doesn't seem like it. You know, we've jumped quite far ahead in this race now. We're on lap 10, and I'm just kind of catching up to the back of Norris. I think maybe Ricciardo is holding these guys up, but I'm not 100% sure. Ricciardo, by the way, who's in P3, so you know, he's having a pretty good race by his standards. It's not often you see him on the podium, even if the McLaren is a lot stronger in my career mode than they are in real life, or at least were in 2022. Who knows, maybe they'll be really strong next season in real life, but we'll have to wait and see on that. We did have the DRS to Norris on this occasion. We actually set a purple first sector, but we're going to need more than that if we want to attack him going forward. And yeah, right now we'll just see if we can stay with him and pounce on any mistakes that any people in front make. There's a train here of Ricciardo, Russell, Verstappen, Norris and myself, and if I can get to the front of this train, I will be on the podium. But you know, it's one thing to catch a train like that, it's another thing to overtake it. And you see I've actually fallen out of DRS range again of Norris as we come to the pit stop phase. But as we go into the pits, maybe we'll be able to get a good pit stop and you know, sort of catch back up to his DRS range, and then maybe we can overtake him as we go through the Kemmel Straight. Verstappen I think is already out. Oh no, it's Perez. Perez is already out. Sainz powers through, so Perez is leading this race at the moment. Sainz is staying out for another lap, and we come in. It's a good stop. We're putting on the hard tyres to go to the end. 10 more laps. Well, I think actually 11 if you include lap 12 itself. But we actually jump Norris in the pits. I guess he must have had a slow stop. We had quite a fast stop, so we've got ahead of him. Russell has jumped Ricciardo, but I'm sure that Ricciardo will try and fight this one back. But what he's done really there is held him up and allowed me to catch up to the back of him, which is going to give me DRS to fight with these guys. Ricciardo's going to have to DRS on Russell. I think, I don't know if Verstappen has stopped yet. Yeah, he must have done. And he's actually managed to jump both of these guys. So he's now looking at podium contention once Sainz stops. And, you know, we are now looking up the outside of Russell as we come through this corner. We're going to go around the outside. I love to go around the outside of cars there. I do it very often in pretty much just about every game, because the AI is never quite as strong on the attack around there. They always kind of cede the corner to you a little bit when they probably shouldn't do. And that has enabled us to get ahead of Russell. We're currently P6. When Sainz stops, that will be P5. And yeah, we're suddenly looking a lot better in this race than we were looking at the beginning. I thought we had pretty much no pace, but even on cold hard tyres we are fighting with cars around us, which is pretty incredible if you ask me. We're going to have a task on our hands here to keep Russell behind though. We're going to have to really attack this, especially because we just took that corner like garbage. We're going to have to really hold down the battery here, but I only squirted it for a tiny bit, and that's going to allow Russell to definitely attack me. I'm going to block him there as we go through that corner. That's held him up a little bit. Norris has actually got ahead of him, so those guys are squabbling away behind us as well. I go deep into the bus stop chicane, but I think I'm just about going to get away with it for now. And yeah, we definitely have held on to P6 for now. Sainz comes into the pits, which means we're going to get ahead of him and go up into P5. And yeah, suddenly this is looking like a pretty good recovery. I think probably Verstappen, Leclerc and Perez will be too fast to catch today. But if we can get ahead of Ricciardo, P4 would be an amazing result given the start we had. It would be a good recovery in my opinion, and I would be more than happy with that. We're burning the battery now as we go through the Kemmel Straight. All we want to do right now is just catch back up to the DRS range of Ricciardo. If we can do that, the DRS will do the rest of the work, I am sure. But we'll have to wait and see what is going to happen with that. We're in DRS range of him, we just need to maintain this over the course of this next lap, and we'll see what happens. This is turning into a really intense race as we now come on to lap 14, and we are within DRS range of him now as we go through the detection point. So we're going to have to attack him with all we're worth. We're going to be burning the battery. We go through Radion. It's a bit sloppy, but it should be okay. We're still closing him down. We've got the battery, we've got the DRS, and we're closing on him. And closing and closing and closing and closing. Are we going to go for a move at the end of the Kemmel Straight? Let's find out. Decide against it. He's just a little bit too far ahead at this point. But we're not out of options to attack him. You know the corner I like to go around the outside at. We'll see if we can do it. We didn't take a great run through these corners, and that's going to make it difficult for us to do it. But we're still going to have a look, and we'll see if we can make it work. You can see he definitely was giving me room there, but there just wasn't quite enough grip for me to make this move on this occasion. Now we need to be careful of a threat from Norris behind us, because he could definitely attack us back into this race. Because Ricciardo definitely held me up a tiny bit there, and Norris and Russell are definitely having a really intense charge to see if they can get ahead of me. They're sick of being beaten by a car that they should be faster than, I'm sure, and I've been doing it in a number of races this season, so they probably want to get ahead of me as quickly as they can, especially because Norris, I'm sure, still thinks that he's in contention for this championship, even if he's definitely falling away in these last few races, and there's emerging a clear front three in my opinion, who are actually in first, second and third at the moment, maybe not in that order. He will want to get back at me, and maybe even once he's ahead of me, maybe even execute some team orders to get ahead of Ricciardo as quickly as he can to maximise the amount of points that he scored, because I don't think we can really call Ricciardo a championship contender in this season. but we'll have to wait and see. We're a lot closer to him than we were on the previous lap, and we're going to be burning battery a long way to just allow ourselves to kind of stay with him as we come on the run down through Eau Rouge, up Radion, and it's a little bit better this time, but still not brilliant. I've not been particularly assured through there, not taking it as flat as I would like to be. We're burning the battery, we've got the DRS, we're going to dummy to the inside, that's going to cause him to defend to the inside, and then we go to the outside, and we're going to go around. We go a bit deeper than I would have liked. We actually cut the corner there, which means we're going to have to give him back the position, which we do. We touch wheels there, front right to rear left, it's okay though, none of us are hurt, nothing's happened, and we go around the outside of our favourite corner, and I think we're going to get this move just about done. Albon is out of the session, we'll have a look what happens to him in a moment, but for now, we're going to just have to defend this position. He's attacking us back as we go through Pouhon, and we're going to go around the outside, and somehow we've held on to this position, and we're up into P4. This is a brilliant outcome, and hopefully we can defend this for the rest of the race. We'll have to wait and see. They're going to be very fast, and I'm not going to have any DRS for the rest of the race now, unless I can somehow catch up to Verstappen, which I don't think is going to happen. He's already 5 seconds up the road. And I think he's probably checked out. Here we are now, and we'll see what happened with Alex Albon. This is him, and yeah, as he comes down on the run to Eau Rouge, he just pulls over to the side. There's smoke billowing out of the back of his car. He comes up Radion, and yeah, he's going to peel off the circuit in just a second because he can't continue. I'm assuming there must be an engine failure of some sort. Disappointing for him, but he wasn't having a great race anyway. Now here's Max Verstappen, who's just ahead of us, and I wish I could tell you this was a DNF. It wasn't. It was the lamest spin of all time. He just drops it at the bus stop chicane, manages to keep it going in a straight line, and loses very minimal time. You'll see it from my perspective now, and you see I gain literally like a couple seconds back on him compared to where I was. It's a very minimal incident, but I was very excited for a second that something might have happened to him and I was about to jump back onto the podium. No such luck, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe he might have some more problems. And now we're on lap 19. We've managed to defend from Ricciardo and Norris to this point, but there's still a lot of time left in this race for them to attack us back. We're not burning any battery as we come down on the run to the bus stop chicane. I'm really hoping that's a DRS fault because we're in such a strong position in this race that we don't want to lose out at this stage. There's only 3 laps to go, for Christ's sake, and if we're having an issue now, that is going to be pretty brutal. So yeah, hopefully it's nothing serious, and hopefully we can just defend even if it is a DRS fault. You don't need DRS to defend, so yeah, we'll just see what we can do to hold on to this position. Unfortunately, when it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. I think he actually might have made contact with the back of me there, or something happened, because I heard a sort of crunching noise that seemed like it came from behind me. But maybe I'm being paranoid. But yeah, unfortunately, for all that happened in that race, we had the strong qualifying, we had a terrible start, and then we massively made our way back into the race, only for it to end a few laps before the end. It's not the fairy tale we were looking for today, unfortunately, but maybe our time will come again, I'm sure. And yeah, that's going to be the end of that. We'll see the outcome of the race in a second, see who finished where.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari do it again.
Yep, so Leclerc managed to jump Perez at the end of that race. The defending world champion wins another race this season. He's massively coming back into the championship now. I think he's leading by about 20-ish points or so. We'll have to wait and see. Perez has to settle for second best, and Max Verstappen completes the podium, which isn't bad actually, given that I think he started quite low down the order, like 7th or 8th or something like that. So he had a pretty good recovery, all things considered. He'll be pretty happy with that. But now the Red Bulls need to start winning races.
The updated driver standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
So yeah, we're only 2 points ahead of Alpine now, so we're going to need a good result in the next race if we want to maintain this P5. The best way to get P5 is to never lose it, is what I think. We're also pretty close to having Sainz overtake us in the driver's standings, but we'll see what happens. We got the no DNFs bonus because technically I was classified because it was so close to the end of the race that they still classify you if that happens. And that's going to be it for this video, so I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.